What's up, everybody? It's Mega Cassie. I know it's dark out in here. I don't want to turn on the light because I have an early day and it's late at night. So I wanted to come on here. I really don't want to turn on this light. I don't. I guess I could turn on the closet light for now. I just wanted to come here currently and post this video. I don't usually post on Sundays because I like to at least film a few videos before I start posting. And I just wanted to come here today. Oh, there we go. And talk about a story time for you guys. I just want to leave you guys with a story time. So, anyway, I follow a lot of pages on Instagram that deal with makeup and black MUAs and uh, black beauticians who do hair. Um, and I was scrolling on this makeup page that I follow. I think it's like melanin makeup or melanin MUA or something of that nature. So this young woman, I'm not gonna say girl because she's a grown woman. This young woman was doing an eye look, beautiful eye look, and might I say, her hair was on point. It was gorgeous. She had the baby hairs all lined up on her forehead and everything. It was so beautiful. So then I'm I'm scrolling through. I leave a comment like, might I just first and foremost say the baby hairs are on point. You are gorgeous and the look is everything. So something along those lines. So then I'm scrolling and everybody's leaving these positive comments, and out of everything I see two negative comments. And the one that struck me the most was this one girl who was Latino, Puerto Rican, might I say. She said, she commented, now mind you, out of everything, you could keep this shit, excuse my language, you could keep the stuff to yourself. Like, you don't have to post. If you don't like something, you don't like it. Stop following the page. So, anyway, her comment said, this baby hair thing is getting out of control. So I scroll and I go to her. I click on her name and pull up her profile. And in her profile, her hair is pulled back, and she has all her hair that goes on your scalp pulled to the front, slicked down like baby hairs. And I'm like, but weren't you just trying to bully somebody who has baby hair, who has edges, and you're like gluing your actual long hair to your face with gel? You're like gelling your actual hair that goes on the top of your head. Like, she would take like literal long strands of hair and like gel them to the side of her face. Like that's not a problem. Like, I mean, at least the other woman has baby hairs. She has actual short baby hairs. Are about an inch long. That's it. That's it. Anything above or just a little less than an inch. She had that hair. She also had edges. Her baby hairs were nice. Okay. So what I'm not understanding is you just sat here and talk mad trash to somebody who actually has legitimate baby hair. But you're gelling your hair that's supposed to be slicked back. That's long as F. That's like long to the side of your face. But that's okay. So then I commented, and I did, because I don't like when people go for, especially black women. Like, don't disrespect the black woman, period, at all, especially not around me. So then I go and I commented, I replied to her comment and said, this is coming from somebody who has literal, actual long hair gelled to their face. Matter of fact, it might be got to be glue. Uh, uh, the hair glue that a lot of women use for their lace fronts. So you're jealous because you don't have edges. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I used to gel the hell out of my hair back in the 90s. Way back in the 90s. I used to pull my hair back all the way, put little we used to have this style where you would pull your hair in a ponytail, in a high ponytail, and then wrap like a whole bunch of like those not the like the white girl scrunchies, but the ones that look like yarn, the yarn scrunchies. We used to take those and we used to wrap them, and we used to put like a ton of them in our ponytail, so that way it'd be like a small scrunchie and then a big scrunchie and then a bigger scrunchie and then an even bigger scrunchie. We used to do that. That was the fashion back then. And so I used to gel my hair back all the time. My hair was super long. And when you're in the military, you have to gel your hair. You have to pull your hair back. So I would gel my hair down all the time. And it made my edges fall out. Like, it literally made a lot of my edges fall out. So I had to regrow them out. I use shea butter, and also use a hair regrowth uh, liquid for my edges. And I also had really bad fallout right up in here. So I regrew that, and it's coming out little by little. So I'm like, okay. So I'm just like, so I go back to scrolling. Did I go back? Was it? No, I looked at her picture, her profile picture, and then I posted that, and then I went back and I scrolled down, and there was one picture where she was in a bra and panties, and under it she posted the N word, the N word. I said, "Oh no, baby girl, baby girl, baby girl." In the words of B. Simone, baby girl, you've got to get it together. I taught my child that that is not a word somebody who does not have black parents should be saying at all. If a black person chooses to say that word, that is their right. They have that right to say that word because it was a word that was created, that was used and being derogatory to them. So if they want to use it in a rap song, if they want to use it greeting one of their best friends, that's fine. That's their choice because they're black. They have that choice and that right to use that word because their ancestors built this country. That's their choice. And she just starts going off and blah blah blah, and I'm just not reading it because why? Like, I'm trying to inform you, if you don't have black parents, this is not a word you should be using. So ugh. So she then says, I'm Puerto Rican. And I'm like, but are your parents black? Are your parents black? I'm Puerto Rican. But are your parents black? And this is the thing. I've met some black Puerto Ricans who don't even claim to be black because it to them, I don't know, it's really weird. Like, for them it's like, oh, it's like saying something derogatory to them. And it's like because they were taught that being black is, you know, disgusting and dirty. And I'm like, okay, but you know, in the US, you are black because of your skin tone. You are a black man in the US. So, I mean, because one day when I was in high school, I said, I was a part of this teen organization. I forgot what it was called, but we would come together at the person who made this group. It was like a faith based organization. So, it's very diverse. There's different people there. So I said to him, I said some, I said something to him, and I said, he said something, because he said something to somebody else. I don't remember what he said to somebody else, but I said, aren't you black? He was like, no, I'm Puerto Rican. And I'm like, but you're black. And he kept trying to correct me. And I'm like, if you have African great grandparents, parents who are black, just just roll with it. Like, I mean, I don't understand it because I was taught to love who I am regardless of who I am. And I teach my son that all shades of black are beautiful. That if you're black, be proud of it. And I teach him about, his father's heritage, because school books don't even teach him about what really happened. So I do that, because when I was in school, there was barely anything left in the history books about slavery. So when I went to off the when I became an adult, I worked and I joined the military, and I came back and I went back to school and I finished my associate's degree, and I took a African American studies class. And by the grace of God, I was paired with the best professor ever. The best professor ever. Broke everything down. He explained everything to us. And you know, I wanted to take this class because not only is my son half black, you know, his grandfather's side comes from Trinidad and Barbados, and his grandmother's side, I believe, were descendants of slaves here in America. I wanted, I wanted to teach him about the stuff that's not being taught in school, because the history books, all they say is that and blacks were indentured servants. That, you know, they were working in the same fields as white people. And I'm like, black people were never indentured servants. The whites who came here were indentured servants because they were either, you know, Irish descent or Italian, or, you know, some European, you know, ethnicity. So if their family was giving was given food and farm animals and money, they had to release a family member to work for these people until for no more than 7 years. That's what an indentured servant was. In no way, shape, or form had black people, from what I've read, ever been indentured servants. They were forced into this country. They were forced into working for no money, free labor. They were forced to eat scraps. That's where a lot of the soul food comes from, like chitlins and ham hocks and pig's feet, and a lot of the Caribbeans, like a lot of Jamaicans and stuff, eat chicken chicken foot stew. That's where a lot of that came from, because they were, as slaves, they were given the scraps that were left over from what the white people ate. So, you know, and then I'm over here ranting about going into history. So, you know, I teach my child that they don't have nobody, if you don't have black parents, if at least one of your parents isn't black, you do not have the right to say that. You don't. You don't. I think out of all the songs I've heard so far from Logic, who is biracial, his father's black, his mom's white, I've heard him say that word twice. Twice. Ever. In two different songs. Because he just doesn't say that word. Like, and I'm sure, like, it doesn't. Although he is half black, it's not something that comes natural to him just because it's the word and where it's rooted from. But if he wanted to say that in all of his songs, that would be his choice because he is a black man. That's his choice. That's another thing. When people go around and do what Rachel Dolezal did, it makes it harder for us who are biracial, whether you're half black and half white, half black, half Asian, half white, half Asian, half Mexican, half white, or half Mexican and half black. It makes it harder for us, especially those of us who are actually white passing, to be recognized as somebody who is biracial or mixed. I've questioned a few people that that were mixed because there's so many people out here that they they hate people of color and they hate black people, but they just they want the skin color. They want the brown skin. They want the tan. They want the bigger lips. They want the bigger hips. They want the bigger butts. They want the bigger boobs. And it's disturbing to me because growing up, we don't know who we are. We're just floating in the air like, well, I'm not 100% this, but then I'm not 100% that either. Where do I fit in? And I grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood, so I was accepted regardless of what I looked like, just from my friends alone, you know. And I, I even had some people be like, she's one of us today. But but at the end of the day, if you think about it, we're one and the same because when white folks look at us, it's like you're not white or you're not 100% white. And it's like, it is what it is. And so I always explain to my son his his heritage. That he's half black, but he's also, you know, 25% white and 25% Mexican. You know, I want him to know all of it, but I definitely want him to know the history behind black folks, especially here in the U.S. and stuff that they've invented and stuff like that, because he is predominantly black, and I ingrain that in him, like. It doesn't matter who you are. Black is beautiful because I didn't have somebody to tell me that being Mexican was beautiful. I didn't have my mom was probably the only one that I really looked to as far as that. But after she passed away when I was 7, I didn't really have anybody to look to for that. I've always, when people call me white girl because I'm very white passing, until I tan, that is, till I sit in the sun and turn brown and get a tan. Then it's another thing. And they're like, oh, yeah, yeah, never mind. I thought you were white for a second, but then never mind. I've had people's white children stare at me when my hair is in its natural status because they're like, she looks white, but she doesn't have white people hair. Confuse it. And like, I get, I get upset when people do that, because it's just like, don't Rachel Dolezal us. Like, I know the history behind a lot of different people. You know, don't talk to me like I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. If anything, you don't know what you're talking about because you look stupid. You look like Rachel Dolezal. Dolezal. you and and then to lie and sit there and say, oh well, there's African heritage in my family, but are your parents black? Is what I'm asking you, because you can have black people in your family. It doesn't make you black. If one of your parents isn't black, you are not considered black. You're not. It's 2019. The one drop rule doesn't exist anymore. Like, it doesn't. Because if that was the case, my grandfather on my father's side, who is less than 1% heritage from, no, would it be 1%? It's either 1% or less than 1%. No, it's less than 1%. If that was the case, the one drop rule would have applied to my grandfather's family, because then that would have, because there's a little less than 1%. I think it's like in total maybe half a percent, like 0.50 or point something, like 0.20, somewhere around that. It would have applied to him because there's ancestry that comes from Tunisia and Egypt. But the one drop rule does not apply. That was back in the 40s and 50s that they used that, and they used that as an excuse to treat people like dirt, you know. So, oh, she was raped. Oh, sorry. I mean, she was, something happened to her. So, like, when I tell my son, when I tell my kid, don't let these people out here say that word if they don't have black parents. You know, if at least one or both parents are not black, then it's not you. And I told him, I said, if you grow up and you chose to use that word, that would be your choice because your dad's black and your heritage comes from African slaves who were brought over here against their will and who were beat and all of that. The history behind that. That would be your choice. Totally your choice. I preferably would like for you not to use the word because it's just not a word you should be using. And then I spoke to my kid today as well. I also asked my child, I said, so what happened? Because I told him what happened today, and I said, so speaking of which, what happened to that kid? And he told me that the kid got expelled from school, and his parents were upset about it. And I'm like, well, where did he learn that from? And my child was like, I don't know. Like, supposedly it's a new trend going around. What this kid did was he walked up to my child, knowing that my child's black, half black, and asked my kid for a black pass. It's not a thing. There's no such thing as a black pass. There's no such thing as a ghetto pass. It's non existent. What people are telling you is wrong. They want you to get beat up. So this little boy, he's white, and he walks up to my child and asks him for this black pass. And my child pushed him on the ground and said, if you say something, it's going to be worse. Snitches get stitches and wind up in ditches. That's the Chicago. So I said, so did he ever snitch on you? Did he ever tell on you? He said, yeah, he told the principal. And I said, well, did you tell him? And he was like,